Israel has become quite the corporate center, and with that growth, the Bank of Israel has a lot on its plate to keep in check. Today, the central bank did something no one really was expecting. It raised its benchmark interest rate. This is the first increase in 4 months. Joining us now to explain the move and more about the Israeli economy is the Director General of Israel's Finance Minister, Haim, Shani. Mr. Shani, a pleasure to have you on today.
Hi, good afternoon, Laurie.
So first, tell me what brought you stateside. Any interesting meetings scheduled?
Yes, there is a very particular reason why I'm here. The government of Israel has approved 10 days ago, as part of its 2 years budget, the 2011 and 2012 budget, a whole plan to assure the success, the long-term success of the high technology sector, the advanced industry sector. Part of the plan is to encourage big financial services organization to consider Israel as a center for innovation and R&D activity, like the other, I would say, big multinationals that have already been there. The Intels of the world, the Motorola and IBM. So we'd like to see big US financial centers consider Israel as the next place for innovation.
You know I have to ask you, who specifically are you talking to?
Well, we're talking to everyone who is important on the street. This visit is a second visit after we have spent a few days in London talking to large European banks and also some of their US counterparts in the UK. So we will be discussing this idea with large US financial firms.
Have you gotten any commitments yet, either from the UK or from the US?
We have, I would say, we have brought this idea a few months ago. The government has officially approved the plan, which includes an incentive plan, or a subsidy, if you would like, incentive plan for these banks to consider Israel as a place.
What kind of investments are we talking about? 10 million, 100 million, billion-dollar investments into these ventures?
What we're talking about in terms of each institution, we would like to see those big banks set up an R&D or innovation center, which would include between 100 to 200 people each. Obviously, if this plan is successful, we will see thousands of people at the end of the day. The government right now has put a budget which is close to $20 million in order to incentivize them to consider Israel as a place for innovation.
Now, is it a concern? How are these potential investors approaching the question to you of, hey, some recent news is showing that the Israeli economy, while it's robust and outperforming the rest of the world, well, the Western world that is, it's slowing a bit in the current quarter from the second quarter?
I think with respect to this particular initiative, what people would consider is actually the talent that we have, the human capital. And we have a very unique combination of the relevant human capital. On one hand, we have technology experts in algorithms, in models, in all those sophisticated systems that would make the big US firms more competitive on the world trade on one hand. In addition to it, there is the relevant human capital of Israelis and also Jewish people that live in America or in the UK and would like to return home, or as we say, make aliyah, spend a few years in Israel. And this combination of technology and business understanding combined with government incentive can be very powerful here.
So what about the critics who suggest that Israel's economy is largely controlled by a small number of families?
I would say this is something which is a topic of discussion, but one should look at the broader picture, and especially with respect to this initiative. If you look at the high technology sector that makes 40% of the export of the country, I think this is a flourishing industry. You would see that Israel, I think we are second or third in terms of the number of companies listed here in NASDAQ. So it's a very flourishing and growing and dynamic sector.
All right, let's talk about some of your bond offerings. You were doing a meeting in China, I believe. You talked about the idea of selling bonds there. You're considering selling bonds in Asia to specifically raise Israel's profile there. How is that going? Have you got any firm plans yet?
No, it's not a plan which has a specific date, but we do have experience like the bond issuance that we have done in Europe on March, which was very successful. It was fairly oversubscribed. I think, if I remember the numbers correctly, the demand was approximately 13 billion euros, while we wanted to issue at 1 billion only, and we were successful to raise more than that, but obviously we didn't use the entire book. And this was a combination of the need to raise capital, but also to increase the country profile. So we might do it in Asia one day.
Well, we appreciate the update.